Hello students, I welcome you to Sangli Shikshan Sanstha's YouTube channel. Today we are going to learn Standard 7th Subject History Lesson number 2, India before the times of Shivaji Maharaj. Before we start, let me clear actually what we are going to learn in today's lesson. We shall learn the various ruling powers in India before the times of Shivaji Maharaj, invasion from the northwest of India, Sultanate in the north, the kingdom of Vijayanagar, the Bahmani kingdom and the Mughal power. So let us see about the various ruling powers in India before the times of Shivaji Maharaj. In the 8th century, Pal was a famous dynasty in Bengal. In Central Asia, the Gurjar Pratihar power was there. Dynasty is meant by a ruling power or ruling dominant family. In North India, among the Rajput dynasties, the Gadwal and the Parmar dynasties were the important ones. Among Rajputs, Prithviraj Chauhan, belonging to the Chauhan dynasty, was the brave king. In Tamil Nadu, Rajaraj I and Rajendra I, belonging to the Chola dynasty, were the eminent rulers. The Cholas conquered the Maldive Islands and Sri Lanka using their naval strength. In Karnataka, King Vishnuvardhan, belonging to the Hoysal dynasty, had conquered whole of Karnataka. So this was about Bengal, Central India, North India, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka. So what about our Maharashtra? In Maharashtra, Govind III, the Rashtrakuta dynasty, was a powerful ruler. During his reign, Rashtrakuta power spread from Kannauj up to Rameshwar. Later, Krishna III conquered the region up to Allahabad. Three dynasties of the Shilaharas emerged in western Maharashtra. One dynasty ruled over Thane and Raigad in North Konkan, the second in South Konkan, while the third dynasty of Shilaharas ruled over some parts of present-day Kolhapur, Satara, Sangli as well as Belgaum districts. The last prosperous power before the period of Shivaji Maharaj was that of the Yadavas. The capital of Bhillam fifth of the Yadava dynasty was at Devgiri near Aurangabad. The Yadava period is considered to be the golden period for Marathi language as well as literature. It was in this period that the Mahanubhava Pantha and Varkari movement emerged. The next point we are going to see, that is invasion from the northwest. Local dynasties like Yadava and Rashtrakuta ruled in Maharashtra, but invaders from the northwest conquered the local dynasties there and established their own rule. In the meanwhile, the Arab power had emerged in the Middle East and Arab rulers turned towards India to expand their empire. Among them, Muhammad bin Qasim conquered the Sindh province, and thus Arabs came into political contact of India at first time. Then the Turks, Afghans and Mughals from Central Asia came to India and established their power here. In the 11th century CE, the Turks began to invade India. Sultan Muhammad Ghazni invaded India many times and plundered or looted the rich temples here, like Mathura, Kashi. Now, let's see Sultanate in North. In 1175 CE and 1178 CE, Sultan Muhammad Ghuri of Ghur from Afghanistan invaded India. Muhammad Ghuri appointed Qutbuddin Aibak to look after the conquered territories in India. So after the death of Muhammad Ghuri, in 1206 CE, Aybak began to rule here independently as a sultan. After Qutbuddin Aybak, Iltutmish, Razia, Balban, Alauddin Khalji, Muhammad bin Tughlaq and other sultans ruled over India. Ibrahim Lodi was the last sultan. Daulat Khan Lodi, the governor of Punjab, invited Babur, the ruler of Kabul, to fight against Ibrahim Lodi. Babur defeated Ibrahim Lodi and thus Sultanate came to an end in India. So, now let's see how the kingdom of Vijayanagar and the kingdom of Bahmani emerged in South India. The kingdom of Vijayanagar. During the reign of Sultan Muhammad bin Tughlaq of Delhi, there were many revolts in south against the central power of Delhi. The brothers Harihar and Bukka from South India were Sardars in the service of Delhi Sultanate. Taking the advantage of the instability, they founded the kingdom of Vijayanagar in the south in 1336 CE. Hampi in today's Karnataka was the capital of their kingdom. Harihar was the first king of Vijayanagar, and Harihar was succeeded by his brother Bukka afterwards. So, now let us see who was the most powerful or eminent ruler in Vijayanagar Empire. Krishnadev Raya. Krishnadev Raya. In 1509 CE, Krishnadev Raya ascended the throne of Vijayanagar. He defeated the combined forces of the armies of sultans who had united under the leadership of the Bahmani Sultan Mahmud Shah. During his reign, the kingdom of Vijayanagar extended from Cuttack in the east to Goa in the west and from Raichur Doab in the north up to Indian Ocean in the south. Krishnadev Raya was a scholar. He wrote Amukta Malyada, a Telugu book on polity. He died in 1530 CE. The decline of Vijayanagar kingdom began with the death of Krishnadev Raya. In 1565 CE, there was a battle at Talikot between Adil Shahi, Nizam Shahi, Qutub Shahi, Barid Shahi on one side and Vijayanagar on the other side. Vijayanagar was defeated and thus dominance of Vijayanagar came to an end. Now let us see about the Bahmani kingdom. At the same time, see dear students, at the same time when this Vijayanagar empire was emerged, in that same time while Muhammad bin Tughlaq was still reigning, some of his Sardars in Deccan rose in rebellion against him. The leader of those Sardars, Hasan Gangu, defeated the army of Sultan of Delhi. A new kingdom known as Bahmani kingdom came into existence in 1347 CE. Hasan Gangu became the first Sultan of Bahmani kingdom in south. Gulbarga in Karnataka was his capital. In Bahmani kingdom, Mahmud Gawan was chief wazir. So, the remarkable work done by the wazir Mahmud Gawan we are going to see now. He was a good administrator. He started paying the soldiers their salaries in cash instead of through land grants or watans, what we call. He brought discipline in the army. He introduced many reforms in the land revenue system. He opened a madrasa at Bidar for Arabic and Persian studies. After the death of Mahmud Gawan, fashionism increased among the Bahmani Sardars, and the provisional governors began to act more independently, and thus this led to the disintegration of the Bahmani kingdom into 5 small powers. These 5 small powers are Imad Shahi of Warad, Barid Shahi of Bidar, Adil Shahi of Bijapur, Nizam Shahi of Ahmednagar, and Qutub Shahi of Golconda. So, now let us see about Mughal power. How Mughal power came into existence in India. In 1526 CE, the Sultanate of Delhi came to an end. Mughal power was established here. Babur was the first founder of Mughal power. He was the king of Fargana in Central Asia in today's Uzbekistan. How he came here? See the story here as we have learnt before. The relationship between Ibrahim Lodi, it is meant by the last Sultan of Delhi, and Daulat Khan Lodi, the governor of Punjab. Relation between them strained. Now hence Daulat Khan Lodi invited Babur to march on India. Taking this opportunity, Babur invaded India. There was battle between Ibrahim Lodi and Babur on 21st April 1526 at Panipat. Ibrahim Lodi was defeated. This is known as the First Battle of Panipat. After the Battle of Panipat, Rana Sangh of Mewad brought all Rajput kings together. There was a battle between Babur and Rana Sangh at Khanua. Rana Sangh's army was defeated. Babur also died in 1530 CE. Now after it is meant by Babur established a Mughal rule here in India. After Babur, Humayun, then Akbar ascended the throne. After Akbar, Jahangir. Jahangir was followed by Shah Jahan. The next was Aurangzeb, who reigned for a very long time. It is meant by that from 1530 CE to 1707 CE, Mughals ruled over India. After the death of Aurangzeb, the Mughal empire became weak. Akbar was the most powerful king of Mughal dynasty. When Akbar tried to bring India under his central authority, he had to face opposition from Maharana Pratap, Chand Bibi, Rani Durgavati. Their struggle we are going to see now. Maharana Pratap was the ruler of Mewad. He continued the struggle of Mewad's existence against Akbar. Chand Bibi was the capable daughter of Hussain Nizam Shah of Ahmednagar. She bravely defended the fort of Ahmednagar against Akbar. Next is Rani Durgavati. She was the queen of Gondwana. After her husband's death, Durgavati laid down her life while fighting against Akbar. So this is the struggle made by the local rulers against Emperor Akbar. After that, when Aurangzeb became the emperor in 1658 CE, at this time the Mughal Empire extended from Kashmir to Ahmednagar and Kabul to Bengal. To the Aurangzeb added Assam in the east afterwards, and the region of Adil Shah of Bijapur and Qutub Shahi of Golconda. After he ended these kingdoms, he joined or annexed these powers to Mughal Empire. Now, let's learn the conflict of Ahoms, Sikhs, Rajputs as well as Marathas with Mughal power. In the 13th century CE, the people of Shan community settled down in the valley of river Brahmaputra. They were locally known as Ahom people. During Aurangzeb's time, the Ahom had prolonged struggle with the Mughals. They united under the leadership of Gadadhar Singh and used guerrilla technique, so it became impossible for Mughals to create a strong base in Assam. Mughal had conflict with Sikhs. The ninth Guru of Sikhs, Guru Tegh Bahadur, protested strongly against Aurangzeb's policy of religious intolerance. Aurangzeb imprisoned him and beheaded him in 1675 CE. After him, Guru Gobind Singh became the Guru of Sikhs. He organized the Sikh youths into fighting force called Khalsa Dal. Mughal army attacked Anandpur. It is meant by the headquarters of Khalsa Dal. Although Sikhs fought bravely, they did not succeed. Guru Gobind Singh came to Deccan in 1708 CE but he succumbed to his wounds. Aurangzeb could not obtain the cooperation of Rajputs also maintained by Emperor Akbar. After the death of Rana Jaswant Singh of Marwad, Aurangzeb annexed his kingdom to Mughal Empire. Thus, Durgadas Rathod crowned Jaswant Singh's minor son Ajit Singh as king of Marwad and continued the struggle against Mughals. In Maharashtra, Swaraj was established under the leadership of Shivaji Maharaj. During his efforts, Maharaj had to fight the Mughals too along with the other enemies. Marathas offered stiff resistance to Aurangzeb and defended their independence. So children, today we have learnt second lesson from our history textbook, and we have learnt the various ruling powers in India before the times of Shivaji Maharaj. Invasion from northwest, Sultanate in the north, the kingdom of Vijayanagar, the Bahmani kingdom, as well as the Mughal power. Hope you have understood the lesson. So viewers, subscribe Sangli Shikshan Sanstha's YouTube channel and press the bell icon for further notifications. Thank you.